North Korea is regarded as one of the most isolated nations on the planet. There is no shortage of rumors and astonishing stories about this country. Hello everyone! In this video, we are going to take a peek into this special totalitarian enclave and see what various aspects of life are like there. The Peace Village with no inhabitants. Between South Korea and North Korea, there lies a narrow strip of land known as the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ. This area is quite interesting, with attractions on both sides that draw attention. On the South Korean side, there is the House of Freedom, from which one can use binoculars to peer into North Korea. On the other hand, the North Korean side features what is called the Peace Village, or Kijongdong. This village was constructed to showcase the prosperous lifestyle within North Korea and consists of about 200 households. However, nobody actually resides in this village. While it is true that lights turn on in the houses at night, they always do so at the same time and in the same windows. The streets are mostly devoid of people and there is not even furniture inside the houses. To make up for this, until 2004, loudspeakers in the village broadcast patriotic marches and propaganda for up to 20 hours a day. This continued until South Korea decided to counter with rock music. Both countries eventually grew tired of the chaotic noise, leading to an agreement to cease this acoustic war. Never Coca-Cola. It may be hard to believe, but Coca-Cola is not sold in North Korea. Since 2015, North Korea has been the only country to ban the sale of drinks that are considered to embody American power. Naturally, there are no McDonald's restaurants in North Korea either. Unlawful hairstyles are prohibited. There are reports in Western media suggesting that North Korea has a list of approved hairstyles, and any other styles are banned. It is said that women are allowed 18 different hairstyles, while men are allowed 10 different styles. Additionally, the rules regarding Kim Jong-un's hairstyle vary greatly depending on the source. According to some media, it is forbidden to have the same hairstyle as Kim Jong-un. This is because the North Korean leader must remain a unique and special figure. However, other sources report the exact opposite. In 2014, it was reportedly encouraged for all students to adopt the Kim Jong-un haircut to boost his popularity among the populace. Although there is no official confirmation of these stories, what is certain is that the state frequently promotes correct hairstyles. From 2004 to 2005, a state-run television series titled "Let's Trim Our Hair in Accordance with the Socialist Lifestyle" was broadcast. This program gave recommendations on the frequency of haircuts and the permissible length of hair. Furthermore, when reporters found people whose appearance did not match the recommended style, their names, places of residence, and workplaces were broadcast nationwide to shame them. The cult of personality around Kim Jong-un. Outside of North Korea, one would hardly see such an overwhelming expression of adoration for a leader from the people. These scenes of fervent love by the entire population are staged with poor acting, making it unlikely that the performers enjoyed it. While the script won't win any Oscars, we hope viewers of this video will find it amusing. What are your thoughts? We are very interested in knowing what you think about this. The prohibition of international phone calls. The North Korean government rigorously regulates the information field of its citizens, and the prohibition of calls with international subscribers is part of this policy. The punishment for this criminal act varies, but it can even result in public execution. Recently, campaigns to crack down on violators using mobile phones to call China or South Korea near the borders have begun. Offenders are often sent to labor camps, though the media reports even harsher punishments. However, it is certainly possible to call North Korean subscribers. Of course, this is neither cheap nor quick, but it is possible. You can dial the number of the state-run telecommunications provider and request a connection to a specific subscriber. If you are lucky, your call will go through. Local basketball rules. Even Kim Jong-un cannot resist the charm of some things from the Western world. Because the supreme leader loves basketball, it is popular in North Korea. According to media reports in 2006, the rules of basketball in this country seem to differ somewhat. For instance, what if a dunk was worth 3 points instead of the traditional 2 points? What if a three-pointer that doesn't touch the rim was worth 4 points? Moreover, what if a two-pointer made within the last 3 seconds of the game was worth 8 points? It is difficult to say to what extent this is true, but such a desire to stand out might have made the game more interesting. This question remains. Guilt by association. The whole family pays. Historically, the idea that the entire family was responsible for the crimes committed by one member was widespread. In North Korea, this concept is still alive. 3 generations of a criminal's family can be arrested or imprisoned simply because they are relatives. Although there are no provisions for such procedures in the criminal code, testimonies from defectors suggest that this practice is widespread in North Korea. Female traffic controllers. North Korea is a very poor country, and only a small number of citizens can afford private cars. Therefore, even in the capital, traffic is sparse, with young female traffic controllers managing it. However, recently, traffic lights have been installed or male traffic controllers have replaced them. It is interesting to consider what this might be related to. If you have any ideas, please write them in the comments. Only 4 television channels. To tell the truth, having 4 television channels is actually quite a sufficient number. This is because, for a long period of time, such luxuries were entirely absent in North Korea. The Korean Central Television, which is the main television channel, broadcasts from 3 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. on weekdays. On holidays and special celebratory days, you can start watching it from the morning hours. When you look at the broadcast schedule, you will see very peculiar and unusual program titles listed. For example, there is a program titled The Eternal Achievements of Our Beloved Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, a speech to the participants of the 14th Educators Conference, among many other similar political propaganda content. But there is also soccer available to watch, though it is only broadcasted as recorded matches. The other 3 channels broadcast on holidays and certain designated weekdays. They air programs related to science, culture, and sports. Prohibition of Western appearance. Many countries regulate certain styles of clothing and appearance. North Korea is no exception. With the rising tide against Western influences, things like piercings, skinny jeans, ripped jeans, hair coloring, t-shirts with Western logos, and even slang have been banned. An extensive surveillance system is in place to catch violators. Parents are punished for their children's inappropriate behavior, and factory managers face difficulties if a worker is arrested. North Korean currency for North Koreans only. The few foreigners in North Korea are not allowed to pay in North Korean won. Until 2002, special vouchers were printed for them, with 2 types available. Initially, those from communist countries received vouchers with red stamps, while capitalists were given those with green stamps. Now, foreigners can pay in stores using foreign currency or special cards. Bibles are banned. In North Korea, possessing a Christian Bible is prohibited. In 2014, an American named Jeffrey Edward Fowle was detained for several months for leaving a Bible in a public restroom. North Korea also has its own Bible translation, created by linguists in the 1970s. Comparing this translation with the South Korean Bible, about 40% of the content is different. Nevertheless, even reading this North Korean Bible can lead to punishment. This is because the country does not recognize any religion other than the worship of Kim Jong-un. The forbidden www. North Korea has its own intranet called the Kwangmyong Network, and only a handful of people can access the global internet. Only government officials, citizens belonging to certain categories, and foreigners are allowed to connect to the outside world's internet. Other citizens can use the intranet via mobile devices or desktop PCs, but they are subject to strict censorship. For example, devices known as ULIM take screenshots of open applications, and information exchanges between users are monitored. Additionally, foreigners are not permitted to connect to the Pyongyang network. This results in a stark division of the nation into two worlds with opposing relations. Stability. The world of repeated elections and crises lacks stability. Politicians promise voters a stable life, but such a life has not been realized and will not be in the future, because the world's mechanisms are designed this way. However, North Korea is a completely different world where the third generation of the Kim dynasty has consistently ruled the country, and there are no crises without orders from the authorities. North Korea, of course, has elections, but they are a formality to demonstrate the unity of the people and the government. In North Korea, there are elections for the Supreme People's Assembly, a parliament with a formal role in this country. Elections are held every 5 years, and that day becomes a festive celebration. On this day, citizens aged 17 and above go to the polling stations and must vote for the only candidate recommended by the authorities. You can cast a dissenting vote, but to do so, you must enter a separate room and risk drawing the attention of the police. So, no one takes such risks, and candidates always receive the full support of the people. What do you think about this way of achieving unanimity? The hidden charm of propaganda. North Korean propaganda looks cute. Such cuteness is not seen in democratic nations. Is there anything that can compare to the girls who cry when they see Kim Jong-un? There is no other world leader who elicits such passionate reactions from people around the world. According to media reports, in North Korea, there is a special group of girls called the Joy Division, who are gathered to entertain the leader Kim Jong-un. Kim Il-sung, the grandfather, and Kim Jong-il, the father, also had similar groups. It seems that the Kim family has a bit of an eye for entertainment. People in North Korea not only shed tears of joy for Kim Jong-un, but also cry when he is sick. Sometimes, even men cannot help but shed tears when thinking about their beloved leader. Are they practicing crying on purpose? However, propaganda is not limited to tears alone. Please look at the cheerleaders that North Korea brought to the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics. No other cheerleaders, not even the NBA, do such a show. This is North Korea's specialty, where childlike innocence and well-practiced performance come together. It's perfect. Protection of art. There are approximately 140,000 monuments and structures in North Korea that commemorate the revolutionary achievements of the Kim dynasty. Statues created by the Mansudae Art Studio are erected with salutes, treated as if they were the real leaders themselves. Special shelters are prepared for these monuments in preparation for war. This is how art is protected. Fine dining. Living in the capital of North Korea is a privilege reserved for only the most loyal citizens. This privilege opens up possibilities for career advancement, education, and healthcare. Pyongyang residents can also enjoy luxuries like eggs, sugar, and oil, not to mention the constant supply of electricity. It's the highest quality of life. However, not everyone enjoys these privileges. They are limited to those residing in the central districts of Pyongyang, a mere 10 locations. Other capital residents fall into the category known as 410 and have access only to basic foodstuffs. These individuals are prohibited from living in the central parts of the capital and, as a result, are denied many benefits. Those living in the suburbs aim to move to the city center, thereby improving their standard of living. Donating the equivalent of $10,000 to the Pyongyang People's Committee's loyalty fund makes this possible. Additionally, there's a means of obtaining a life with access to quality food at a lower cost, offering a $2,000 bribe to officials. Nevertheless, an increasing number of these illegal central city residents are being apprehended, evicted from the paradise where they could obtain eggs, oil, and sugar. If you want to indulge, it seems you must pay the price. Traffic-free. Imagine rush hour in a major city in any advanced country. Traffic jams stretching for kilometers are a nightmare, making the commute to work, visiting people, or even going shopping a major ordeal. In Pyongyang, you can forget about these problems because there are very few cars. Until recently, among the 2.5 million residents of the capital, only a handful owned private cars, and taxis were a rare sight. However, due to a rapid increase in construction projects and encouragement of business activities, even in a country like North Korea, more people now have access to private cars. Furthermore, with an increase in taxis, trolley buses, and buses, traffic jams like the one you see here have become more common. This footage was captured by Indonesian journalist Jaka Parker in 2017. While it's not quite Tokyo yet, it's no longer the desolate metropolis where traffic officers had to replace traffic lights. Gifts to commemorate the leader's birthday. In 2022, North Korea celebrated the 80th birthday of Kim Jong-il, the father of Kim Jong-un. February 16th is the most significant holiday in North Korea, eagerly anticipated by the general populace as it's a day when they receive presents. Of course, not everyone, only those who are employed. In reality, it was the 81st birthday of the great leader, as the previous year's celebrations were cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Moreover, North Korea's economy was in a severe crisis due to the pandemic, so the quality of gifts was not particularly impressive. Nevertheless, people did receive items. For instance, in Haeryong City, employed citizens were provided with a 2-day supply of corn, soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, miso, and soy sauce. Also, due to a sugar shortage in North Korea, Hamgyeonbuk-do distributed corn-based sweets to children. However, not everyone was as fortunate. In Ryanggang-do, authorities didn't provide anything to the general population. Yet, government agency employees received 500 grams each of vegetable oil and seafood. Surprisingly, the gifts distributed in Pyongyang exceeded expectations and were more lavish than in previous years. They included 2 sets of underwear, 2 tubs of toothpaste, 2 toothbrushes, 4 bars of soap, and 1 blanket. Additionally, there were 2 kilograms of miso, 10 eggs, 300 grams of soybean oil, 500 grams of soy sauce, 300 grams of pork, and 500 grams of sugar from China. Yes, it's true. These are luxury items available exclusively to residents of the capital. Hot water. Water is the foundation of life and a fundamental element for people to live comfortably. We are not talking about drinking water here, but water as a means to maintain hygiene. Let's explore the advantages of living in North Korea through this theme. Securing hot water involves consuming energy to boil water. In a country where not everyone has access to adequate food, hot water is considered a luxury. Therefore, it's not surprising that the luxury high-rise apartments on Ryomyong Street, built by Kim Jong-un in 2017, did not have hot water. This is the reality of the fairy tale land that represents the era of the Workers' Party and symbolizes modern urban architecture. Hot water is particularly scarce for female soldiers. According to unconfirmed reports, due to water shortages, female soldiers must shower simultaneously with male soldiers. However, there are also testimonies confirming the water shortage issue. North Korean defector Lee So-young has spoken about the difficulties she experienced during her military service. The lack of hot water for showers was just one of them. Her unit's water source drew directly from a nearby stream without any prior purification. Apparently, the water contained frogs and snakes, which is far from pleasant. From a hygiene and practical perspective, this is far from ideal. However, there is some good news. While not everywhere, public bathhouses have hot water, and Munsu Water Park also has hot water. This water park is the largest in North Korea and offers entry for approximately €10. For that price, you can swim for several hours and even receive a basket containing towels, gel, shampoo, and a swimsuit. Of course, this is assuming we don't consider the income levels of the citizens.
Beautiful life. It is believed that foreigners are not allowed to take pictures in North Korea. This is merely an assumption, but it is a fact that photography is subject to censorship in this country. Photographs are always carefully reviewed by the authorities, and even completely innocuous ones are often deleted. Photographs must show prosperity and happy life in North Korea, and deprivation, poverty, or the behavior of ordinary people are often banned content in this paradise on earth. Canadian engineer Bengt Lindwall was allowed to keep the photo, but was not allowed to take home any others. In fact, most of them on the grounds that they show several trucks that have not been washed well enough. There would be no more innocuous subject than a person weeding on a lawn in Pyongyang. But such photos do not pass North Korean censorship, because they see in these photos people plucking grass to eat. That means that even the people living in the capital are starving. That is why the French photographer Eric Laforgue took this picture out of the country without due process of law. And this was not the only photo he took out of the country. Perhaps this is why Laforgue was permanently banned from entering North Korea. Between 1995 and 2010, South Korea sent 33 million tons of food to North Korea. China sent 3 million tons, and the US sent 2.4 million tons. Although the situation stabilized with the help of the international community, many problems have now been covered up behind the happiness doctrine. The actors who play the roles of workers are smiling because the existence of unhappy people in a happy country is not tolerated. On the other hand, the lack of smiles in real life is not a problem at all. More so when you have to wait in such a long line for a tram. The statues have also been given a makeover. In 2012, one of Pyongyang's main tourist attractions became a delight: the Grand Monument. There once stood a statue of Kim Il-sung in military uniform with a stern North Korean expression. This was because the leader believed that a statue should not have a smile, but times have changed. Now both Kim Il-sung and his son, Kim Jong-il, are dressed in more modern suits, and smiles shine on the faces of the former leaders. Kim Jong-il and forbidden happiness. However, in North Korea, joy is sometimes forbidden. In 2021, North Koreans were banned from expressing any happiness for 11 days. This was in connection with the 10th anniversary of the passing of former Supreme Leader Kim Jong-il. In 2011, all of North Korea mourned the passing of former Supreme Leader Kim Jong-il. In 2021, to show condolence to their leader who had passed away long ago, people were forbidden to celebrate their birthdays, spend leisure time, laugh, and drink alcohol. When their relatives died, they were not even allowed to hold funerals. And on December 17th, people were forbidden to go out to buy groceries. Pyongyang. Pyongyang is the kind of city that serves as the face of North Korea, a city that could confidently present itself to not so many travelers. So, of course, photography is not allowed. Mae-won Stadium is one of the largest stadiums in the world in use. Kim Il-sung Square is the site of the military parade. The Victory Gate also honors Kim Il-sung's victory. Many other monuments and structures convey the spirit of socialist realism. The 105-story, 330-meter-high Ryugyong Hotel was broken ground in 1987. This is the tallest building in North Korea and the tallest vacant building in the world. Yet, the hotel has a use, and it is being used to showcase itself in a propaganda film. Yes, in fact, it looks quite nice when LED lighting is applied. The Juche Tower is another huge structure, visible from most locations. The 170-meter obelisk is the symbol of Juche. It is the idea that man is the master of his own destiny, and of the world around him or her. Primarily, this ideology has defined isolationism and the whole North Korea of today. It is the absolute authority of the ruler of the country, the totalitarianism that takes precedence over the individual, and the introduction of universal conscription. These are what this monument, shining in the night, symbolizes. Pyongyang also has modern architectures. There's a restaurant, a skyscraper, and 2 aquariums. All of these beautiful buildings can be photographed, but sometimes your guide will make you delete the photos or tell you not to take photos of them. That is because it is not always the wealth that is hidden by the beautiful exterior. Many apartments are empty, with no heat or lights. However, experienced photographers often find subjects that would pass censorship. See this photo taken by American photojournalist David Guttenfelder? There you can see a recently built training gym and fitness club in Pyongyang. Censors see a picture of the great leader there, but David notes that the lights are out all over the area. Yes, even the elite districts in the North Korean capital are experiencing power shortages. That's why the guide likes to see computers in the photos, but not these photos of children facing computers that are turned off. Children. Childhood is not an easy time in North Korea. Many children have to work to help their parents. This is not surprising in a poor country. But putting children to hard labor is a violation of today's Declaration of Rights of the Child. Days spent building railroads, hauling rocks, or working 10 hours a day cannot be called a happy childhood. According to a recent report in the Mirror, all of these children serve without compensation. Their childhoods are not what the propaganda portrays. But even under strict discipline, children are still children. On occasion, they even break the rules. This is a young lady with a fence set up for her safety in a park in Pyongyang. Of course, this is forbidden. And this young boy is standing in front of a bus, driving through a rural village. This is a rare example of disobedience. That is why this picture is also forbidden. North Korea's greatest debt. In the 1970s, several Swedish companies began to look to North Korea as a promising market to sell their products. In 1973, Sweden became the first country in the Western Bloc to open an embassy in North Korea. No problems in conducting trade were anticipated, and Volvo signed a contract with the North Korean government for the procurement of 1,000 Volvo 144 sedan cars. Within a year, as written in the contract, Volvo manufactured the cars and sent them to the purchaser. North Korea, however, refused to pay for these cars. The Volvo 144 sedans were distributed among the country's leadership, but it was not until 1976 that Volvo reluctantly asked for payment. As you may have guessed, to date, Volvo has not received the 2.2 billion Swedish kroner, or 110 million euros. This transaction has come to be known as the most massive car theft in human history. This is why Sweden remains North Korea's largest external debtor. So, where's the picture, you may say? Let me show you. In North Korea, you can still find Volvo 144s produced in 1972 and 1973. Bent Lindvall took this photo of the cars in 2015. Of course, they are no longer the luxury cars of the ruling elite, but are still in service and carry people. By the way, Bengt took the memory card containing this photo with him, hiding it in his socks. The biggest boast. Today we know much about North Korea through its military affairs, including its many rocket launch tests. A lot of effort is put into praising the military in this country, and official photos of weapons and military parades are not uncommon. This is especially true of depicting Kim Jong-un. The photo of Kim Jong-un inspecting a unit of female soldiers of the Korean People's Army is an unusual appearance. Won't you also be able to hold back your tears when you see this glorious man? Please, share your thoughts with us in the comment section. We will protect General Kim Jong-un as long as we live. North Korean artistic swimmers performed to this song. Very patriotic. The military has a different side to it than the picture on the front page. Soldiers sometimes work on farms, push buses, or sleep on the grass. Of course, Kim Jong-un would not want to see such pictures. Another soldier is monitoring an area where there are frequent escapes to South Korea. Perhaps people are trying to escape the good life and prosperity. That is why such photos are also prohibited.
Global tensions are escalating each year, and authoritarian states seem to believe they can act with impunity. So relax, and let's imagine what might happen if North Korea were to launch a nuclear bomb. Let's get started. Nuclear bombs and delivery systems. North Korea already announced in 2005 that it possesses nuclear weapons and conducted an underground test of a hydrogen bomb in 2017. What if Kim Jong-un decides to use those bombs? Of course, the scenario depends on where North Korea launches its missiles and how many it can launch simultaneously. Potentially, every adversary of North Korea, including the United States, could be in the danger zone. Let's consider a scenario where the United States territory is under attack. North Korea has three means of delivering nuclear warheads across the sea. The Hwasong-18 missile is the most recently developed, announced in February 2023, with tests conducted in April and July. It's North Korea's first solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, believed to be developed in collaboration with Russia. This missile can carry a payload of up to 1.5 tons, including a nuclear warhead, to a distance of up to 15,000 kilometers. In other words, Kim Jong-un could potentially target any location within the United States territory. Impact. In the event of such an attack, the United States may only have 30 minutes or even less to prepare for a nuclear strike. Such an attack would be catastrophic. Professor Alex Wellerstein of Stevens Institute of Technology created a website to predict the impact of a nuclear attack, allowing anyone to choose a location and estimate the effects of a specified yield nuclear explosion. Let's say a 250 kiloton bomb is dropped on the center of Los Angeles. Most buildings and structures within a 2.8-kilometer radius from the blast center would be destroyed. People in this area would suffer not only from radiation and shock waves, but also from fire-related damage. After such an explosion, the heart of Los Angeles would become a pile of contaminated debris, never to return to its former state. Let's expand the range to 5.8 kilometers from the blast center. People in this area would experience third-degree burns, but there would be no immediate threat to life. At 7.4 kilometers, buildings would still stand, but there could be significant damage due to shattered windows. The reason is the speed of light, faster than anything else. When people see the flash, they approach the windows to look outside or take pictures. At that very moment, the shock wave causes the glass to break into fine, extremely dangerous shards. If a nuclear bomb were dropped on the center of Los Angeles, there could be a potential death toll of 378,000 people, with an additional 861,000 people injured. It might be wise for the United States to have means in place to prevent such a disaster. What do you think? Beginning. Now it's late at night. In a silo deep underground somewhere in North Korea, preparations for the launch of the solid-fuel missile Hwasong-18 are underway. It's easier to conceal the preparation of this missile than the launches of the liquid-fueled Hwasong-15 and Hwasong-17. Surely, Kim Jong-un is somewhere nearby. This dictator loves to have his photo taken with weapons in the background. And when he gives the order, the propellant beneath this intercontinental ballistic missile is detonated, launching the missile from the silo. The first stage engine ignites at a height of about 15 meters above the ground, and the missile, carrying a nuclear warhead, soars into the night sky. The countdown begins. The missile rises almost vertically, breaking through the resistance of the dense atmospheric layer and ascending to an altitude of over 1,000 kilometers. Meanwhile, the night sky is monitored from space by military satellites equipped with the United States' Space-Based Infrared System, SBIRS. The satellite system is positioned in geostationary orbit and a highly elliptical orbit, detecting the heat emitted by the missile literally within 1 second and transmitting that information to Earth. The signal of a missile attack is received by 2nd Space Warning Squadron at Buckley Space Force Base in Colorado. From that moment, the satellite continuously tracks the heat signature and flight path of the ballistic missile. The library of this tracking system contains characteristics of all identified missiles to date, including the 2 launches of Hwasong-18 in 2023. The automated system quickly finds matching data. The launch site and type of the missile, potentially carrying a nuclear warhead, are now identified. Let's assume the warhead is not detachable but integrated. Boost stage. The ascending intercontinental ballistic missile is large and vulnerable since it has just begun its acceleration, making it the most attackable target. However, a decision to intercept cannot be made during this phase. Perhaps this might not be the beginning of a nuclear war, but merely another military test, as has happened multiple times before. Consequently, the missile continues its flight without incident, and approximately 1 minute later, the first stage is separated. 1 minute later, the second stage is detached, and around 3 minutes later, the third stage is separated. At this point, the U.S. President and the entire leadership of the U.S. military have obtained information alerting them to the possibility of an attack. However, there is no certainty that it is an attack. Therefore, the U.S. military, along with the military forces of South Korea and allied nations, can only observe the flight of the missile and collect data. They need to confirm that there is an actual threat and determine what is being targeted. On U.S. Navy ships, the all-direction surveillance radar of the Aegis system, known as ANSPY-1, monitors the sky. In South Korea and Japan, ballistic missile defense systems such as the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, THAAD, and Patriot missiles enter full combat readiness to intercept short and medium-range missiles. Similar systems are also operational in Guam and Hawaii. These missile defense systems can intercept missiles entering the Earth's atmosphere, but they cannot shoot down missiles flying in space. Mid-course stage. After the separation of the 3 rocket engines, the warhead conducts ballistic flight in space towards the U.S. mainland for approximately 30 minutes. During this time, radars such as the PAVE-PAWS radar, capable of detecting targets within a radius of 2,000 kilometers, are operational in Alaska, Massachusetts, and California. Additionally, the sea-based X-band radar, SBX-1, is deployed and monitoring the sky. This radar is affiliated with Adak Island in Alaska, but is positioned somewhere in the Pacific. The 3-stage solid-fuel ballistic missile defense interceptor missile GBI is also on standby. This missile can carry the Exo-atmospheric Kill Vehicle, EKV, to an altitude of 2,000 kilometers. The EKV is designed to intercept North Korea's warhead. There are 44 interceptors like these deployed in silos in Alaska and California, covering almost the entire United States. The success rate of intercepting space-based targets with the EKV is 55%. So, in addition to this, the West Coast is defended by the Aegis system, THAAD, and Patriot missiles. Terminal stage. The flight time of the missile varies depending on the target. The approximate arrival times for the missile are 29 minutes to Anchorage, 40 minutes and 30 seconds to New York, and 41 minutes to Washington. However, since the missile is flying towards Los Angeles, the estimated arrival time is 38 minutes. The missile has been flying for 30 minutes, dispersing decoys to interfere with interception in space. However, at this point, the interceptor's EKV flies towards the missile and misses the target. The next interception attempt also fails. Finally, on the third attempt, the interceptor hits the target, and the missile is destroyed, turning into small fragments. Phew, that's a relief. The nuclear explosion has been averted. But it's far from over. Kim Jong-un must take responsibility for his decision. Normally, a declaration of war requires congressional approval, but a nuclear attack is an exceptional circumstance. Therefore, the US president doesn't need to consult with anyone and can order the use of nuclear weapons directly. However, in most cases, the president consults with the Secretary of Defense, the military, and civilian advisors. If the president is at the White House, discussions on such matters take place from the Situation Room, or if the president is away, discussions happen through secure communication channels. With little time, the decision is made in just 30 seconds. In this case, the president decides not to retaliate with a nuclear attack to avoid a large-scale war. However, military operations are unavoidable. Soon, North Korea's military facilities turn into ruins, and there is a high possibility that the country itself becomes a non-functional state. Hooray! We won! So, we can breathe a sigh of relief. With that, today's video comes to an end. Thank you everyone for watching. As you can see, this is purely a hypothetical scenario, and as of now, there's no issue and no one has launched a nuclear bomb anywhere. At least the likelihood of this happening is lower than many other disasters that could harm us. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and share it on social media. We appreciate your support. It's time to say goodbye for now, but remember to focus on positive things. So, are we agreed? Well then, let's meet again soon. Goodbye.